Hey, howdy, hey, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of the Nick and Nash podcast. As always, I'm your host, Matt Nash, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Nick Calvacca. Nick, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, and it's been a while, but I'm happy to be back doing our show. We've been doing a lot of interviews, obviously. We're going to
Mhm.
continue to do those, but it's time to get ready for football. It's
Yep,
enough playing around here.
football season's spinning up, man. I'm excited. I've got a fantasy draft tomorrow and a fantasy draft on Saturday, man. I'm getting into it, man.
I'm
I'm,
geared
I'm
up.
full. I'm all in. I'm all in. I love it.
College football this weekend. The games aren't great, but it's
Who
something.
cares? It's college football. Someone's gonna get beat 85 to 7. So I'm
Exactly.
I'm here to watch it. I can't wait to watch a poor D3 school get whooped up on by like a low major.
Big point spreads.
Big point spreads. That's where Vegas is like licking their chops.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
You've never seen more people know more about low major college football teams than you will for the next 2 weeks.
Oh my God, it's insane. There's one game that's good, and we're not talking about college today, but I'm a little bit looking forward to the Nebraska game. Maybe I'm the only person in the world who is, but that's really the only game that caught my eyes for this weekend. The rest are not going to be close.
What, the Cornhuskers, man? What do you mean the Cornhuskers? What,
Yeah,
what do you mean?
I'm a little bit bought in. I think they could be better this year. It might be time for a bowl game back in
Yeah,
Nebraska.
they're gonna make a whole ball game. Wow, look at them. Look at them.
Hey, it's something. They're one of the best football programs of all time, but the past 15 years, it's been a mess. So,
I mean, dude, they can produce O linemen better than any other college I've ever seen in my life.
I know.
Those Cornhusker linemen, man, they are grown on purebred cornbread.
Very blue collar.
Extremely. All right. Well, we're here today not to talk about college football. Today, we're here to talk about NFL football, and most specifically, one division, the AFC South. So, I think we should go ahead and get into it. I'm honestly just excited that football's coming back. I just love it. And at the presumed bottom of the AFC South is a team with a lot to talk about, the
You got
Houston
that right.
Texans. Man,
Yeah, there's a lot to dive into here, Matt. I'll let you start us off, but what a train wreck it's looking like. Real dumpster fire down in Houston right now.
yep. I mean, obviously, everyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge Deshaun Watson fan. And his ongoing legal issues are just the tip of the iceberg for this Texans team. With all that happened, anyone who knows about the cases that are going on can go to or yeah, anyone who knows about those knows what's going on there. Anyone who doesn't know, you guys can go do research about it. Basically, there was a lot of allegations made about Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson after he went to several, and by several I mean like 60 masseuse parlors over a 2 month span, and half of them alleged that he did something, and half of them said that he was just the best customer they've ever had. So, I mean, obviously that stuff, I think I read somewhere that that's not even going to be an issue until 2022, but it just represents the kind of discordance that's going on within this Texans organization right now.
Yeah,
It's
just
it's it's awful.
whether it happened or not, and I hate to be the guy who says whether it happened or not if a guy is innocent, but it's just the surrounding image around the Texans right now and around the quite frankly a bad football team. You don't want any more distractions, and
Mhm.
obviously this is a big one with your superstar and with your quarterback and Deshaun Watson. So
Yep.
hopefully it all blows over, but I don't even know if Deshaun Watson is going to be playing football this year. It's not looking great right now, I don't believe.
He
So,
showed up to training camp.
yeah, hey, I don't think he stepped on the field yet, though.
He was
Uh,
there. He
yeah,
here's the thing. He was there. So at that point, that's a Texans decision.
yeah, he's in the building. You're right. So hopefully he plays. We're all Deshaun Watson fans here, but we'll dive into the team. Yeah, and I'll just start it quick if you don't mind. I mean,
Go
here's a
for it.
team where Deshaun Watson's coming off almost a career year. I mean, he played very good football last year, and this
He
team went
played some of the best football I've ever seen him play, and they went what, 4-12.
4-12, just not great. Um, Beat Jacksonville twice, obviously. So you take what you want there.
Take what you can.
Yeah, take what you can there. And, listen, you bring in a guy, now a new head coach. Obviously, it was time. We all understand that it was finally time to.
After we saw that deal for D Hop, it was time.
Yeah, yeah, and now now Bill O'Brien is with the Tide, now Alabama, and Romeo
Tide.
Crennel was an interim head coach. But anyway, they bring in a 65-year-old head coach who's never even been an offensive coordinator at this level. He was a wide receivers and quarterbacks coach, I believe, in Baltimore.
Wait, a wide receivers and quarterback coach in Baltimore? They
He's
haven't had their passing offense was abysmal the last couple of years.
Yeah, he was the wide receivers coach last season, and the Ravens finished last in NFL in passing in 2020. So Houston,
obviously, you could say that's kind of a misnomer because of the greatness that is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
but at the same time, their receivers, Lamar was putting the ball on the money with the receivers. All the jokes about Lamar being a running back, I think they kind of need to stop because, like I said, Lamar's putting the ball on the money. Only his tight ends are catching it, which wasn't this guy's field of preference. It was the receivers. So he's not adequately preparing the receivers. And then, oh, by the way, they lost Will Fuller the fifth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I believe. Let's see. His name is David Culley. He's got his hands full. He's like we just said, and I'll throw it to you. I just wanted to get this out of the way. You bring in a 65-year-old head coach who's never even been a coordinator at the professional level, who was a wide receivers coach in Baltimore, who was last in passing offense, and you say, "Go ahead, go win us some games." It seems like they're almost giving the guy a shot, but kind of throwing in the towel for the season and maybe tanking before it's even started.
That's the thing. If you remember the whole hullabaloo, if you can call it that, around this guy getting hired. This was not Deshaun Watson said, "All right, guys, I'll give you guys a chance to rework this so that we can both be happy. I'll give you guys a chance so that we can mesh better and be like closer to the same page." Yep. So here's a list of guys that I want, and they said, "We don't want any of these guys," and threw the list out and essentially spurned him, and that's what started the whole thing about him holding out. And then there was the theory where it was like, well, the allegations came out and whatnot, but they were all being, perpetrated by a shady lawyer who just so happened to be next door neighbors to the owner of the Texans. And so then there was now it's like speculation is, well, are these allegations actually real? And again, we're not saying that they are or are not. We're not saying if he is or is not guilty. We're just saying that there were different schools of thought on the matter. As for the rest of it, the Texans have done everything they can to make Deshaun Watson unhappy.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
They wanted their new high brass to come in and make a decision, and so the new high brass came in and made decisions and said, "Deshaun, sit down."
Yep. Not a lot of I don't know if loyalty is the word, but maybe not respect for your superstar's wishes. Is that fair? I mean, it's just been.
That's the thing. It's not even respect for the superstar's wishes. It's active disregard for anything that he has to say. And now people might be like, "Oh, the players don't make decisions. The front office does." Well, we've seen situations where the players make decisions because sometimes they actually do just know what's better because they're the ones on the field. They know what they like as a head coach. They know what coaches well against them. So naturally, they're going to want that for their team.
And this is going to get, and I'm going to run through schedules throughout the show quick. I know we're going to spend maybe 10 to 12 minutes on each of the four teams, but it's going to get ugly fast. I look at the Texans' first 10 games. I see week 1 with an opportunity to win. And then after that, I see 9 straight losses. So I'll run through. It's Browns, Panthers, Bills, Pats, Colts, Cardinals, Rams, Dolphins, Titans, and then week 11, the Jets, which maybe they could steal one. But those first 10 games, I'm looking at 1-9,
Wait, hold on. You said the first game was against the Browns?
No, the first game. No. The second game is against Cleveland. The first game is home against Jacksonville, which I like Jacksonville in the game, but I'm just saying that's really the only game in the first 10 that I see them stealing. So this is going to get ugly very fast. maybe if I'm Deshaun Watson at this point, and I hate to say this for a professional athlete, I really do, because I believe in like true competitiveness and all of that. But maybe this is a year with everything going on off the field, and for the reward he'll get for playing this year, maybe this is a perfect year for Deshaun Watson to maybe just sit it out, figure things out, and save his body. What do you think about that?
I mean, here's the thing. I don't exactly have an individual thought. Like, obviously, I know this season is going to be a riptide through the Texans that's going to break down everything that they are, and we're gonna see if this is the horse breaking here. This season is going to be the breaking of the horse.
Yes.
We're just gonna have to see if the horse can actually be ridden after this. I don't know if Deshaun Watson should play or not here. I just think it's if he wants to play football, because if he doesn't play, he saves his body, but he also doesn't put film on tape. And people are going to start thinking, oh, he's just been lazy and sitting around for a year. He's going to be really rusty when he comes out. So we're not going to be able to rely on him for the first month and a half. But if he does play, he risks his body, but he still puts tape out there. But he also puts the tape out there with a lesser group and with a new head coach that we've never seen before.
Might be bad tape.
Could be bad tape, but that's the thing. You also could put out the best tape you've ever put out, because it's obvious he's getting better every single year.
Yes.
So, it's that's the kind of risk reward it is. And if you love football, there's nothing that's going to keep you off that field.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just how it goes. I mean, like if he doesn't play, we might see the Texans go 0-17.
There's a possibility,
because who their grand scheme, big brain, we have the solution play is to this.
What's that?
Well, they signed Tyrod Taylor. He's there. They drafted David Mills.
Okay.
Yes, in like what the third round. It's like you're trying to slap Deshaun Watson in the face. That was the only pick of any value you had.
Yeah, I mean,
and you used it on him.
There's a little spoiler. There's two teams in this league this year that can legitimately go 0-17, and I think everyone knows that's Houston and Detroit. I mean, it's ugly. It's bad.
But here's the thing. Detroit could win 0 games or they could win 9.
I mean, at least say what you want about the guy. But at least they have Goff, and at least Dan Campbell is, he's funny with the stuff he says.
Come down, we're going to buy a kneecap.
Yeah, but at least there's fire there. At least there's something. I mean, with Houston, it feels dead. It really
feels like dead. It's an organization going through the motions. This really feels like the Philadelphia 76ers. Yes. Again, I'm making my connection to basketball here. Year they went, they had 7 wins in a full NBA season. This feels like that. It's not tanking. It's we don't care.
Yeah.
It's it is tanking. There's good tanking and bad tanking. There's good tanking where you're trying to win and you're still losing, and you're still going to keep losing, but you're still trying to win, so you build a winning culture.
Yep.
And then there's this kind of losing, which is they put us out here because we don't have a shot, and I can guarantee you right now, the players have to make the decision. Yep. The players will have to determine the culture that's going on here, because if the players do not determine this culture, this organization is going to be bad for the next 15 years. Absolutely. Until they reset everything.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, and that's really all I have on them, unless you have something more. But you said it perfectly. The players are going to determine this. That it's unfortunate, but the ownership has not put the players in a great position to really win football games. But with that being said, over 17 weeks, you'd like to think if they play their behinds off for 17 games, they could grab 2. You'd like to think that.
Grab 2.
It's sad to say, but we would be crazy to say they could grab 5. That's just
it's so bad. I mean, it's true,
terrible.
But it's bad,
but it's just unrealistic to say they could grab 5 or 6. The realistic is they could grab 2 or 3. I mean, sorry.
I mean, here's the deal. You're not wrong. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I'm laughing.
You'd be going crazy if I said, oh, yeah, they're going to win 6 games. There's no shot.
I would have given you some mean side eye if you had said 6. But, like, it feels bad, but you're not wrong. Again, that's just the worst part. It's like, dear Lord, this team is bad. And I mean, again, the only bright spot for this team is the absolute value running back they have in Philip Lindsay. I don't know why Philip Lindsay went here, and I'm so sad to see him go. I loved him on the Broncos. Now, granted, we drafted that one dude out of UNC. I can't remember his name.
Blank
The
on the
Broncos
name.
did.
Blank on the name.
I know. I feel so bad because he's my team's draft pick, but like, or one of my team's draft picks. But like, dude, like they solved problems with this because it was, oh, Philip Lindsay was clearly playing better than Melvin Gordon all season long, and Melvin Gordon only played better against the Jets. But I still miss the guy because he was a Denver guy. He went to the University of Colorado, or was it the University of Denver? Like he was a undrafted free agent that got a tryout on summer league based upon a friend of a friend.
Yep.
Made the team and then made the Pro Bowl his rookie year. Like, come on, man. This kid is an absolute success story. Born and raised Denver kid. I'm so sad that he's gone.
No,
I hate that the Texans have a stud. The Texans legitimately have a stud.
It's a waste of a stud.
It's a waste of a stud. They got a great quality guy here, and it's just disappointing. All right, we can move on with this trash organization. Get them out of my sight. Get this crap out of here.
Let's move on. I want to talk some real football. We might not get there yet.
I want to talk some real football, and now we'll talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We might have to wait one more.
We're not quite there yet, Nick. We're not quite there yet, man. Just give it a second. We'll get there. Just persevere, my guy.
We'll get through it.
All right, so next we're heading on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that last year went, was it 1-15?
1-15, winning week 1, losing 15 straight.
Yep. Who did they beat week 1? Was it the
Colts? Just laid an egg in Jacksonville. Philip Rivers.
What is this division? What is this crap division?
Can't figure it out, man.
All right, now here we go. This is another team that I liked what they did in the draft for the most part, but there's some parts of it that confuse me. Obviously, this team is I think pretty good. I love the addition of Marvin Jones and Shaquille Griffin. And I think if I'm remembering Malcolm Brown correctly, I'm pretty sure I like him too. They lost Keenan Cole, Chris Conley. Chris Conley is a big one for them. I wasn't too high on Keenan Cole ever, and they lost Al Woods at D tackle, whatever. Draft Trevor Lawrence. That's the thing. Here we go. We've now reached the headline.
That's it.
This headline right here with this Trevor Lawrence is big because we don't know if he's going to start week 1 because you know who's there.
Listen, Trevor Lawrence is starting week 1, Matt. They could say all they want. They could say all they want that he's not. He's the starting quarterback come week 1.
That's what we assume. That's what we're assuming.
Yeah. I would be pretty surprised if he wasn't, quite honestly.
Hey, come on, man. It's Urban Meyer. You never know.
Because you know what the thing is? If you go with Gardner Minshew, you're almost locked in for 3 weeks at least.
Because he's gonna play well for at least 2 of them.
You're almost locked in there. You can't go 1 or 2 games and make the switch right away because then it just looks silly. You're kind of locked in, and I don't know.
He's a real Ryan Fitzpatrick, anyways.
Yeah.
Strong arm, mediocre accuracy, incredible for about half the year.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I would be surprised. I mean, one quick thing. I'm a little upset they cut Tim Tebow. Little upset. Hurt my heart. He deserved to be cut. It was ugly.
There we go.
I
just needed to hear the words.
It was ugly, but it hurt. It really did. I would have gave him 2 preseason games. Maybe throw him 2.
Put a sock in it already,
let
man.
him figure it out. But no,
dude, you knew that was never gonna work. That was a gimmick. That was an Urban Meyer gimmick.
I think this is a win, and let me start us off. I think it's a win-win season for Jacksonville, and here's why. You went 1-15 last year. Obviously, everything went wrong. You made subtle upgrades defensively. It's a bad defense. We understand that, but if you win 5 games, if Jacksonville goes 5-12 this year, that's a successful season. Like it would be hard for a Jacksonville fan to truthfully look in the mirror after this year, after going say 5-12, and saying, you know what, we went 5-12. We were in a few games. We could have went 7-10.
Your rookie quarterback, not a great O-line, not a great.
Exactly. And rookie quarterback, rookie running back, not a great O-line, bad defense, quite frankly, first year head coach, all these things. And it's going to be hard, I think, personally. Now, I don't think this team's going to be good. I don't think they're going to win over 6 games, but I think it's going to be hard to look in the mirror at the end of the year and say, oh, we missed. This got worse. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I think they're in a good spot for not the best reasons. You don't want to go 1-15 and have to completely restart, but I think they're in a good spot right now. And just for what it's worth, it will help mentally. And as far as media goes, not being the worst team in that division.
Here is the issue here. I have an issue with the fact I think that not everything went wrong for Jacksonville last year. I think last year was actually a really good year for them. Now, that's hard to say for a team that went 1-15, obviously, and then had to fire their head coach. It was one of the worst teams statistically in most categories. If you watch that team, they were bad, but they were having fun. Do you remember the biggest thing about that Brooklyn Nets team a couple of years ago that made their players so touted, right? Who was on that team?
What's that?
Dude, they were having fun.
Everything's a basketball comparison. So
because I know basketball better than I know anything else. So it's like, that's my point. So it's like that Nets team was having fun. Yeah. They were like the 8th seed in the playoffs, and they took the Sixers to 5. But they were having so much fun. They were dancing on the sideline. They were doing like everything. They were getting into it. They were having a great time.
No, I hear what you're saying. It sounds crazy.
It's about culture.
The Jaguar team, they were playing hard too late in the year, and that says a lot. It does. A lot of teams throw in the towel.
Here's the thing. They went out there to win every single game. This is what the Texans are going to have to do this year. They're going to have to follow what the Jags did last year, because if you have no reason but to go out there and just try and win, you're going out there to try and win, and you're going out there to have a good time too. Yep. So go out there, whoop some tail end, have a good time. Yeah. If you lose, you lose. That is what it is. You guys are in a bad situation. And I feel like the Jaguars handled it really well last year. And I hope that they can handle it again well this year.
And I think they believe, big fan what they've done. I think there's some belief. Like when I don't know this, but I'm sure when you go into that Houston locker room, yes, there's guys that believe they can win. Obviously, they're professional athletes, but when they really know this is going to be ugly, I'm on the worst team in the NFL, etc. This is not great. I think when you go into the Jacksonville locker room, they're like, you know what? Like, I think any given Sunday we can probably go in there and fight.
You go into the Jacksonville locker room and you see Gardner Minshew and Laviska Shenault. You cannot tell them that they will not win the next 10 games.
No, yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think it's, like I said, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard unless this is like a Jamarcus Russell type thing with Trevor Lawrence. Like, it's going to be hard at the end of the year to say, oh, like this is oof.
Yeah, exactly. Like they have nowhere to go but up.
Exactly.
And they also now have the pieces to go up. Now, one thing that I have issue with here before we move on from them, I do not understand. I mean, I understand why they did it, but I don't think it was a smart move. Drafting Travis Etienne. That doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel good, because you sign. I thought they signed Carlos Hyde and already had James Robinson, who has one of the best fantasy seasons I've ever seen from a guy that nobody knew last year. I had him on my fantasy team and he played every week.
Yeah.
So like, why would you add in another guy? Now you have a 3-back system. Why do that? What's the purpose behind that?
Yeah.
Why go for the 3-back system though? You don't need it. It's not necessary. You're not doing anything with it. What's going on? What is this crap?
It's kind of like, and this might sound weird, it's like one of those Urban Meyer kind of like mental things that he likes to do. Like I feel like he had something to do with the fact he was like, you know what, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, they go good together. Let's do it. Why not? And like,
You're like, no,
I
they
don't necessarily agree with it. I happen to agree with you. It wasn't one of their needs,
by a
especially
long shot.
by a long, yeah, especially when you're talking about a team who went
I
1
would
and
argue it was
15.
the only thing they didn't need.
Exactly. But it's kind of just one of those things where he might have just said, and he'll never admit this, but he might have just said, let's give it a shot. 1 and 15. We're figuring it out, man. Like, listen, at the end of the day, Urban Meyer is a great football mind, and he knows much more than any of us ever will. But let's face it, he's probably winging it just as much as we're trying to figure out what they're doing.
See, but here's the thing, though.
The guy signed Tim Tebow.
Well, I mean, that one was clearly a gimmick. But have you ever seen this guy coach? If they're not winning by 56, he's like on the sideline, crunched over in pain because he can't deal with the stress. Like, this dude's body will give out on him by week 4 if they haven't won. Like, that's the only concern I have here is like, yeah, no, this dude he's making some gimmick moves in the NFL. I like it. It's fun. But can his body physically handle the fact that he probably will not win 6 games this year?
Yeah.
Can he deal with the fact that he's going to have a massive losing record?
I mean,
or is this his way of showing that he doesn't care going into the year?
Yeah. And a quick, before we move off of them, quick schedule check, like I like to do. You don't want to mark wins and losses in the NFL, but let's face it, I'm looking here. You got the 4 against the Titans and Colts. It's probably 4 losses. You got Arizona on here. You got the Dolphins. They're tough. You got the Niners, the Bills, at Seattle. They're at Rams, at Pats, for whatever you think about them. So it's not going to be fluent. It's not going to be pretty, but
it's going to be a brutal season, but they're going to have to weather it.
It's going to be brutal, but say you grab 2 against the Texans, you steal 1 against Cincy, they play them, I'm seeing, and they play the Jets. You can grab 4 or 5 wins, and as opposed to Houston, where we're saying grab 2, and like it's funny and it's ridiculous, it's actually not ridiculous for Jacksonville. If you grab 4 or 5 wins and you're in a few, down to the wire, you lose on a couple game winners, I think you have to look back and say,
we're getting better.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the process.
Yep.
Because that's the thing. You tanked, you got your guy. Now you're going to get incrementally better every year. It's a long, slow build, but you've got the guy there for what? How long is the rookie deal? 4 years?
Yeah. I mean, not everyone, Andrew Luck type thing where the Colts went, 2 and 14, and then the next year won 10 games. That happens once every 50 years. That does, like
this is not going to be this is not going to be a jump like that.
Yep.
I think it's going to legitimately just be, you're going to build. You're going to add 4 wins this year. You're going to add 2 wins next year, another 2 wins after that, and then eventually you're in the playoffs. And we're going to see that happening as the Titans start to wane, because the Colts have a good young team.
Yep.
So we're going to see the power shift in the next 5 years from the Titans and the Colts up here, and then the Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars back here, to we're going to have the Colts here, and then we're going to have the Jags here, and then we're going to have the Titans.
Yep.
You could argue there, and then we're just going to have the Texans back in the bathroom behind it.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll become a 2.5 team race
with the there being a 1 and then 2 75s.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like that's a good wrap up on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, obviously, again, love their wide receiver core. Love Laviska Shenault. That dude plays with fire and flair every game. I love it. Marvin Jones, great receiver. And DJ Chark is incredible. Love DJ Chark. But now, let's go ahead and move on to the 2 teams that you can argue would win.
We can kind of do both of these together, Let's dive in.
I see, like, the one that came up first for me is the Tennessee Titans. So let's just go with them. Let's just go into the Tennessee Titans. I mean, this team, so it goes back to what I said. The Colts team is a little bit younger than the Titans team. The Titans team has a lot of veterans, and they know how to freaking win games, dude. Like, let me tell you, their one weakness was that they didn't have pass rush. And then they added 2 pass rushing edge rushers, and Bud Dupree and Danico Autry. So, and then they also just said, you know what? I think that our corners aren't good enough. Let's add another one. And then they added Janoris Jenkins. And so, say what you will about Janoris Jenkins, but
Yeah.
last season with the Saints, he was part of that team that was good.
Yep.
And then they also drafted Caleb Farley, who was really good. And then they also drafted a guy from I don't know if he claims to be from Huntsville, but from my hometown, Monty Rice. I went to theology class with this dude in ninth grade. Like, this dude's awesome. I love Monty, man.
Yeah.
He's one of those like run guys. He'll gun down a running back in a hurry. Love that guy. But yeah, no. So like, sorry, I'll let you go ahead and go.
No, I mean, it's just kind of going off what you're saying, but the question mark with this team is and always was the defense. We don't have a lot of questions, I don't believe, about the offense here.
We don't need to
Tennessee.
have questions
No.
about that offense. We
So,
don't need that.
We got to just see, and I don't know how much you buy into like Pro Football Focus and all those rankings, but they're ranked very low defensively. Yes, they made some switches, but they're still kind of like a tier 4 defense, which doesn't sit
Out
right.
of how many tiers?
I believe there's 5 here.
Here's the thing, dude. I'm bumping them up to a tier 3. If
Okay.
that's the case, like, again, sorry to interrupt you to butt in here.
No, you're good.
Dude, the one thing they were missing was pass rush. That's
Yeah.
why their defense was so bad. They couldn't rush a quarterback to save their lives because they said, oh, we'll sign Jadeveon Clowney. Nobody understands that Jadeveon Clowney can't rush a quarterback.
I know.
The
Yeah.
only thing that dude can do is run stop. He does it better than anybody else.
Yes.
But when you've got 4 other dudes that are only good at run stop, your run defense is going to be spectacular. Your pass defense is going to be crap.
Yeah.
So now, with the addition of the guys, like I said, more corners to help bolster that back end, and then pass rushers, dedicated pass rushers, I think we're going to see this team get a little bit better. And I think we're going to see that defense start to look at the Tennessee Titans defense that we knew from 2 years ago. Because if you forget, Tennessee was known for their defense up until last year.
They were always solid there. I mean,
I think, again, that they were missing one key type of player.
The team that, so yes, you're right. The team that went a game shy of the Super Bowl, the team that Ryan Tannehill took into Foxborough and ended Tom Brady's career in New England with, that was a defensive Titan team.
Yeah, it was.
There's no doubt about it. Something went wrong last year. A lot of things happened, and they still won a ton of games, won the division. And obviously they lost to Baltimore in the first round, but there's no question Tennessee's not a playoff team. That's not what I'm sitting here saying. What I'm saying is breaking down. Well, am I allowed to talk about the Colts yet? Can I compare?
I mean, sure, go ahead.
It's just when I look at these two teams kind of stacked up together, the Colts kind of give me an all-around balanced attack more. Like, I feel like I could win a game with Indianapolis 14-10, 17-13, and I also feel like I can win a game 35-31. With Tennessee, I don't know if I can win a game 14-10. I don't know if I can do that. And
I mean, here's the thing.
You can't shoot out every team, Matt. Not every week.
That's the thing. They're not a shootout team. The Titans aren't a shootout team.
They're looking like it right now. I mean,
here's the deal. With a bad defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
They won the game as a run-heavy offense. Do you know how difficult that is to win as a run offense with a poor defense? No, it's extremely difficult. And I think that shows that the defense isn't as bad as we're all saying it is.
No, they gave up a lot of points last year.
Because they couldn't pass rush. And that's the thing. No matter how good your DBs are, if you can't pass rush, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In the end, if you cannot pass rush, someone's going to get open. That's why there's such thing as a coverage sack. If your DBs can cover for 6 seconds, somebody should have gotten to the quarterback by now. That wasn't happening with the Titans.
I mean, we're also buying in.
Pick them apart.
No, sorry. I'm saying we are buying in a little bit, though, to a couple draft picks and Janoris Jenkins. We don't know what we're going to get there yet.
No. I'm not buying into that. I'm buying into Bud Dupree and Danico Audrey.
Okay.
That's what I'm buying into. What they do I don't know if they lost one of their key DBs. They still have their top defensive backs.
Yes.
I like the additional, Janoris Jenkins and Caleb Farley. Caleb Farley being a really good DB, if memory serves. I recognize that name very strongly. But I'm saying they addressed their issue. They just needed one or two more dudes that could rush the quarterback.
Yeah. And I hear you on that. And here's why I'm going to say something a little weird. You're going to
Here
think
we
it's
go.
weird, but I think you're going to kind of see where I'm coming from. When it comes to the playoffs, no, it's not that outrageous. When it comes to the playoffs, for the reasons that you said with the pass rush and with the running game they obviously have, and now all the weapons offensively, I think Tennessee can give me more of a playoff run than Indianapolis. I think they can go deeper and match up better with teams. But if the question is over 17 games, who can kind of wear down teams week by week, I think the Colts have a more balanced attack. I feel like the Colts can come at you from every angle. And I don't know if that'll hold to be true, but do I want to see Tennessee in a playoff game? Hell no.
Oh,
Absolutely not.
do you want to match up against Tennessee? Gotcha.
No.
I thought you were saying I don't want to watch Tennessee in a playoff game. Are
No,
you
no, no,
kidding
no.
me?
I'm saying what I
We
want to
haven't even
match
said
up.
the man's name yet. It's Julio Jones and
Yeah,
AJ
no,
Brown and
exactly.
Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry.
Exactly. I don't want to see Tennessee in the playoffs if I'm an
Yeah.
opposing team. But over 17 games, I think the Colts stack up better with that offensive line, that kind of zone defense that they play. It kind of just it comes at you and I think, and I'll wait till we get to the Colts, but you're gonna see with that offensive line, with that defense, with that running attack, you're gonna see a different Carson Wentz.
Quite possibly. And honestly, there's not much else to talk about here with the Titans. They lost Corey Davis and Adam Humphries, but it doesn't matter. You got Julio. Who cares?
Yep.
They got back multiple blocking tight ends and Jeff Swain. um, you know,
Loaded attack offensively, loaded.
I love what they did with their offseason because they addressed their needs and they brought the guys back to make sure that they're doing good. And they went out and got another star without having to give up too much. So
yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's just.
Well, then I guess let me go on my rant. When it comes to Indianapolis, and this will be the last team we talk about here in this division before we make our final predictions, it's going to be a completely different Carson Wentz. You look at
assuming he plays.
Assuming he plays, but now all the reports now, I don't want to jinx it. The guy can get hurt walking down the stairs for all we know with him. But all the reports are showing now that he's looking very questionable for week 1. He might be back to start the year, which is something we didn't even know was going to be possible, along with Quentin Nelson. But anyway, Carson Wentz, we're going to see a different version of him. In Philly, he was asked to do everything. When things really collapsed in Philadelphia, he had no offensive line. The guy was running for his life. He was throwing
receivers.
He was throwing to varsity receivers, literally junior varsity receivers.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The favorite way I've heard them referred to is the way that Colin Cowherd referred to it, and it was throwing to lawn chairs.
Throwing to lawn chairs, exactly. And it was very ugly. No defense. He was told to do everything. He had to be Superman. In Indianapolis now, you got a great O-line, good offensive scheme, good defense. You have weapons. You have T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, Zach Pascal, and not to mention standing a couple feet behind you, you have JT, Jonathan Taylor, and obviously Marlon Mack, who last year balled out.
Very, very good running back core.
Yeah.
Very good. They have a well-rounded running back core. And again, if you guys haven't figured out yet, we are talking about the Colts. We have now switched on to the Indianapolis Colts. The Titans section has henceforth concluded. So they have a well-rounded team. They got Eric Fisher. They got Eric Fisher from the freaking Chiefs. Like, that's awesome. Like, they bolstered that offensive line even more. I'm looking at who they lost. They lost Adam Vinatieri. Dude was a dinosaur.
Yep.
Love Adam Vinatieri to death, but it was time.
He wasn't even, you know what, though? He wasn't even kicking last year. He was hurt.
Yeah,
it was the kid from Georgia.
Yeah, it was Rodrigo Blankenship. And then you now had, you lost Jacoby Brissett and you lost Danico Autry.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You then turned around and drafted Kwity Paye, a guy that Dayo Odeyingbo. Shut up. And you also drafted Kylan Granson, a tight end, another tight end,
And
man.
who
It's
else?
just,
Who else?
I don't know. He's not listed as a key draft pick, so he's not must not be important.
Listen, I think you're
You love Sam Ellinger too much. Sam Ellinger is the guy that was drafted by the Colts in like what, the fourth round?
yes.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Colts in the fourth round. And if anyone doesn't know, Nick, my good co-host, my good friend here, Nick, absolutely loves him to death for one reason or another. Not the most accurate, not the fastest, not the strongest. He's just a guy that Nick loves for God knows what reason.
There's a lot of reasons, but this isn't the Sam Ellinger show.
It would be if you had your way.
It would be. It would be.
But
But
as I was saying, they let go a pass rush guy and got back two guys. So and then like Kwity Paye is incredibly fast. Like all this, that, and the third. They got Xavier Rhodes, Marlon Mack, and T.Y. Hilton re-signed. They also added Eddie Pinheiro for some reason. I don't know why you would bring in Eddie Pinheiro when you have Rodrigo Blankenship, but I guess competition.
They're in a little competition right now. Yeah.
I mean, Pinheiro is like my friend. Pinheiro is a Florida guy, and I think he's a Florida guy. My good friend James Fletcher, being a huge Florida fan, will not shut up about Florida players. So I have had to hear so many times about how, oh, well, in practice, Eddie Pinheiro kicked a 75-yard field goal one time. Oh, well, Eddie Pinheiro did this, and Eddie Pinheiro did that.
You think I'm bad with Ellinger?
I know you're bad with Ellinger. You're worse than he is, but still.
That's a kicker.
I get balanced reviews.
I can't talk about Sam Ellinger. But a backup kicker is better.
He's not a backup, first of all, from what I've seen. And to be fair, dude, I've actually like with Sam Ellinger, there are questions about him. With Eddie Pinheiro, if you've ever watched tape of Eddie Pinheiro or Johnny Townsend or any of the dudes from Florida, dude, they're incredible.
Of course, there's questions about. I mean, listen, there's questions about any fourth round quarterback pick. But anyway, and you forgot to mention the Colts added Xavier Rhodes.
I said that.
Oh, you did.
Re-signed
Okay,
Xavier Rhodes.
Okay, yeah. So re-signed. So that's the defense they play, that zone look that they give is it's they come
unstoppable. Their zone defense is better than any I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
it's kind of ridiculous.
It is. And listen, call me crazy. Maybe you're right. Maybe this Tennessee defense is making the big leap this year, but I just don't. Even when you're an offensive heavy team, there's always 5 to 6 weeks. Yes, you're going to get 10, 11 weeks of you're going to play your game, but there's always 4 to 6 weeks where you're going to need a dogfight. And can you win a game 17-10? Can you win a game 14-7?
So what is your big issue with the Titans defense? What are they missing?
I don't know.
If you know so much about this Titans defense that you don't like it, that you know enough to not like them, what part are they missing?
It's not exactly a personnel piece that they're missing. It's just
they have a defensive-minded head coach.
It's just making the leap. It's like we said with Jacksonville. Everything's a process. Like you don't go from 28th in all defense to 10th. It's hard to make that leap. Is all I'm saying. It is. Personnel wise, you're right. I don't have a literal answer personnel wise. It's just mathematically hard to make that leap from 28th to whatever number you have in your head. It's when the Colts are already. See, here's what I'm saying. The Colts are already there. The Colts are already figured it out. They're ready to go. The Titans were banking on a lot and we're saying, hopefully this works. And I just don't know if I'm completely bought in for 17 weeks.
So here's the thing. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way here. So we both clearly have differing predictions on the order of the AFC South, but only because of two teams.
And I think they're both playoff teams.
Starting from the bottom, we've got the Texans, we've got the Jags, and then here's where we disagree. You have the Colts winning the AFC South. I have the Titans winning the AFC South because I think that the Titans are going to beat everyone in the AFC South every time they play them.
The Colts don't take one?
I don't think the Colts take one because here's the thing.
Bold. I'm going to hold you to that.
That's my prediction. And currently, as things stand right now, I like it. I haven't seen the mesh of the new Titans offense. I'm not going to lie to you, but we also haven't seen the mesh of the new Colts offense. We don't know if Carson Wentz is going to fit in. And the thing that they're missing is they've got a bunch of really good guys. That's the Colts. Colts have a bunch of really good guys on their team. Where's the star? Where's the star? This is a team built of really good. So it's like if you had to put like Madden ratings on these guys, this is a team full of 85s, a bunch of really good guys. And then you get with the Titans where it's like they have some positions that are 75, but they also have some positions that are 95.
In my
And can the
defense,
95s beat the 85s?
though, that is why hear me out. That is why I said come playoff time, give me Tennessee. Because to your point, you need at some point for the most of the time you need stars, but not necessarily in the regular season as we've seen. So yes. I think the Colts, if you know where I'm coming from, there you're right, Matt. Like you're absolutely right. And come playoff time, I agree. Regular season, a lot of times we see that whole, it's a weird analogy, but that whole 85 Madden attribute kind of analogy that works a lot in the regular season, and I just think with the division they're in and, with the home field that they present year in and year out. And obviously this O-line is, everything I just said, we're repeating ourselves at this point, but we disagree on it. I think both teams are playoff teams. I think both teams get 10 to 12 wins. But maybe 13 actually with the extra game now. I don't know.
I give them both 12. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm going hands down. I'm saying both these teams. Both these teams get 12.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at rosters or I've looked at rosters. I haven't looked at schedules.
Mm-hmm.
But assuming that, I think the Colts are going to be able to take down a lot of teams, but I think the Titans are going to be one of those teams that they can't take down. This is going to be a rivalry game, and I think that the Titans players are going to be bought into that.
Yeah,
and I think that the defense is going to be really mad that they were ranked 28. And I think that's going to be a key factor in that switch.
And I think we can agree this is kind of like one of those matchups, or two for that matter, that you circle. Like these are going to be fun games.
Exactly. This is going to be the Colts, who are like, man, these pesky Titans, I'm really sick of them. And it's going to be the veteran Titans being like, well, we can't let these guys get us.
Mm-hmm.
We come on, guys, we got the better players. Let's go get them.
Yep. Absolutely.
And both these teams have incredible schemes. I love their offensive play styles.
Well coached.
Obviously, the Colts offense last year was crap because Philip Rivers can't throw a ball 35 yards down the field.
Exactly.
That's what Carson Wentz is really good at. And I think we're going to see T.Y. Hilton have a resurgence year this year.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that offense is based around a zone run now. So can you make that work with Carson Wentz also being there? And how is that going to play into the new head coach's scheme?
Yeah.
No, they're head coaches. He's not new anymore.
Frank Reich, yeah.
Yeah, love Frank Reich, by the way. He's awesome. But, is he going to be able to get the most out of Wentz? I'm excited. That's all I'm going to say. I'm thrilled because we get to see King Henry and A.J. Brown and Julio Jones go up against Carson Wentz and his band of merry men, if you will.
Yeah, and you kind of get a head start too because, like in the AFC, you look at like the North where it's just loaded, that division, and like stuff like that, and even the West is obviously the Chiefs up front, up top, but even Chargers, Raiders, Denver, whatever. Like at least in the AFC South, my point that I'm getting to is the Colts and Titans kind of guarantee themselves a little head start with 4 wins. You kind of have Houston and Jacksonville to almost feel it out like early in the year. And like I don't know, it's kind of a head start. It's going to be big for Carson Wentz to get off on the right foot confidence wise.
Yes.
And
he doesn't have to see a statue of his backup whenever he walks into the stadium now.
And I think that can play a role. Like we might be sitting here on our show week 4, week 5, and I could be completely bought in on Tennessee because for me, if Tennessee starts the year 2-2, it doesn't bother me. I know they're gonna be okay. The Colts start the year 2-2, 3-3. And Carson Wentz doesn't look great. Now I have serious questions.
Yep.
So that's how I feel. But gun to my head, we disagree, I guess. But gun to my head, over 17 weeks, give me the Colts by a hair. By a hair.
I mean, here's the thing. It's like by 17 weeks. I mean, that's fair. I mean, you can make that argument. I'm not going to say you can't. I think we're going to see some stuff out of this Tennessee defense. I think they're ticked off. I think they're ready to show that they're not one of the worst defenses in the NFL anymore. I think they're gonna at least be a middle of the road defense, like minimum. And that's just by adding to a couple guys, like I think that they were genuinely they were stacked in every position except for like two.
And I hope you're right, because for what it's worth, I know no one cares about this, but Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and Mike Vrabel are like three guys that I just love seeing succeed. Like they're
King
a hard,
Henry, man, is
they're
a
a hard
story.
team. Like they're a hard team not to like. Who can you
Yeah.
like? Who can anyone pick out on the Titans and be like, oh, I can't stand Ryan Tannehill? Like, what?
Not on their offense, at least. Like it'd be hard to find someone on the offense. Now you could argue you don't like Malcolm Butler because he's kind of mouthy. But I mean, other than that, I mean, Janoris Jenkins, same deal, mouthy guy. But other than that, it's like
they're just but they're on defense. Like, they're just playing ball. Like
exactly.
Know what I mean?
Like and to be on the defense, you have to be mouthy, especially at the DB position. Yeah, it works. And but yeah, no, it's like you cannot look at this offense and point to a dude and say, I don't like that guy. Because who doesn't like Taylor Lewan? Who doesn't like Julio Jones, AJ Brown? Like they're such lovable dudes. Like
all right. So here's mine. And then I'll let you, give yours and we can close it out together. I'm gonna go Colts 12 and they added the game. So gotta get used to these numbers now. I'm gonna go Colts 12-5. I'm gonna go Tennessee 11-6. I'm gonna go Jacksonville.
If you say this, you've already said the two same numbers that I'm going to say. If you say the same one again, I'm going to be really mad at you.
No, I really want to say 5-12, but I'm going to go 4-13.
Ooh.
And okay. I think Houston goes 1-15. 1-16.
All right. Well, I guess in that case, for me, I've got Tennessee obviously as a 12-5. I've got Indianapolis as an 11-6. So screw you, Mr. Calvacca, from the bottom of my heart. Let's see. As for the Jags, I think we're going to see a little something this year. I think we're going to see a 6-11.
A 6-11.
I think we could potentially see it. And this is again with me not seeing the schedule or anything. I think we could potentially see, if games line up right, a 6-11, because they might have that Detroit game on their schedule. They might have that Raiders game on their schedule where it's like Detroit, you can probably beat them. Raiders, you have a chance.
They have, really quick to your point, they have Cincy, they have Jets, they have Falcons at home. So
exactly. They've got some teams that are like, and plus they've got 2 games against the Texans.
True.
And then as for the Texans, I see a 2-15 season here.
You're giving them an extra game. Okay.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here. I'll give them one extra game.
Who do they beat then? Because you just said Jacksonville takes 2 against them, but if you're giving Houston 2 wins, who are they beating if it's not the Jags?
I mean, that's
something doesn't match up here, Matt.
They're playing the Jets, aren't they?
Houston has the.
Let me look up the Houston
schedule. They do have the Jets at home. Yes.
Let me look up the Houston schedule real quick.
I promise you, the only games you're going to pick out is the Jet game and a Jacksonville game.
Let me see here. I think that they could potentially take. So obviously the Jets.
I think they can steal a Jaguar game.
They could steal a Jaguar game. I wouldn't be surprised if they could steal the Panther game too. I wouldn't be surprised if they stole a game against Carolina.
I kind of like Carolina this year, man.
I like Carolina too, but I also know that Carolina is a weirdly constructed team.
Mm-hmm.
So, they've got really good defensive players, but the defense isn't that good. They've got really good offensive players, but their offense is spotty sometimes. They've got really good receivers, but they're not great at catching. They're only really good down the field. And they've got a really good quarterback prospect who was terrible his last couple of years. And they've got Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So make do with that what you will. I think that they could potentially steal that Panthers game.
Yeah,
I'm saying they beat the Panthers and Jets. And I think the Jags are going to be really wanting to beat them down whenever they play them. Yep.
All right. So that's the AFC South.
Yes, it is.
Wednesday, we will do. We'll hopefully be live for that. And a lot of you guys have been texting me. They want to do maybe some kind of, I don't know how it's going to work, but we could try it. People want to do a couple call-ins. I'm cool with it. We'll
We
figure
just
it
have to figure
out.
out any way that we can do that.
We'll try.
That's the
Yeah, we'll go
problem.
live. And Wednesday we'll do the AFC East. So that'll be a fun one for sure. And then we'll wrap it up with Friday. We'll whatever we decide, the North or the West, and we'll just keep it rolling like this till we go into football season.
Yep.
And we understand college is starting. We're well aware that the college football season starts this weekend, but we're giving ourselves a little bit of a cushion till next week, being that, not to say there's not going to be some great games this weekend, but being that there aren't any high profile games going on, we do want to get rolling with the NFL and with the bigger NCAA conferences. So that'll be starting next week as well.
Yep. All right. Well, you got anything else for him, Nick?
That's it. I think it went good. We'll just keep it rolling.
Yep.
So excited for football, man. Oh my goodness.
I can't wait, man. I got a fantasy draft on Tuesday, like I said. I'm thrilled. I can't wait. All right. Well, thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. And, well, without any further ado, we bid you all adieu. See you
Thanks,
all.
guys.